In today's video, we're going to look at some of the biggest dangers of a narcissistic relationship. Now, recognizing these dangers can help you to keep yourself safe, and it can also be really valuable if you have a friend who might be in a relationship with a narcissist. Now, before we get into that, and it is a very serious topic, but I do just want to let you know about some of the other really important content we have coming up. Over the next few months, I'm going to be talking about all kinds of problems in relationships, how to identify unhealthy relationships, and how to fix problems, and actually times when you really just need to get out to protect yourself. I don't want you to miss any of this essential content, any of these videos. So please press that subscribe button now and make sure that you have all the information and tools that you need to have the kind of healthy, happy relationships that you deserve. So back to today's problem, which is a relationship where you're dating a narcissist. But before we get into the dangers of dating a narcissist, we should probably be really clear about what we mean. A narcissist is someone who has an excessive belief in their own self-importance and who will work to support that self-image and their own self-interest at the expense of everybody else around them. Many narcissists are really socially adept, which is why we don't spot them straight away. If we did, we'd avoid them. They will often seem perfect, mainly because they've been really carefully cultivating their self-image. Even just from that description, it's probably pretty clear that these are not going to be the best people in the world to date. But is it really that bad? Unfortunately, yeah, it really is. Here are some of the biggest dangers of dating a narcissist. First, is that you don't realize you're dating a narcissist. So it's gonna sound, it does sound really obvious once I say that. Yeah, you just don't know. The person you're dating will be able to perform all of the normal actions that show that they care about you, and they'll be able to pretend the emotions that lie behind those actions. For example, they'll still hug you when you're sad, especially if there are other people around to see it. They'll look deep into your eyes and tell you that they love you, and you'll believe them. This is what narcissists do. It's how they treat you. This does mean that a relationship with a narcissist is unstable from the start. A narcissist is playing a part while you're being authentic and vulnerable and loving. This puts you at risk of heartbreak and much worse. The second problem is that you might lose your sense of what a healthy relationship looks like. A narcissist will spend so much of your relationship telling you how a relationship is supposed to go, and it's going to be completely one-sided. They are so completely involved with themselves and their needs that your needs simply will not occur to them. It's not that your needs are at the bottom of the list. They're not on the list at all unless somehow they're of value to the narcissist. Narcissists lack empathy, so they're not going to feel your pain when you feel hurt, ignored, or unhappy in the long term. You're just going to start to believe that this is how relationships are. You stop hoping for anything better or for anything more because your narcissist partner has no doubt at all that this is how things are, and even worse, how things should be. Dating a narcissist can also have a long-term effect on your mental health. People who are in long-term relationships with narcissists may develop significant problems with their mental health. For example, you might experience anxiety, and that anxiety may be especially around the idea of displeasing your partner or making a mistake or getting something wrong. If that makes you, your heart start to race, that's not a good sign. You might also get depression. This is often linked to a loss of self-worth and self-esteem that happens when you're dating a narcissist. You've got hypervigilance. So someone who's dating a narcissist or has been for a long time will always be on edge, looking out for potential problems up ahead. Now, when you think about hypervigilance, it's important to understand just how exhausting it is, and also that it can make it actually a lot harder for you to make good decisions. It's a little bit like the kind of attention you need to drive a race car. You're constantly putting in huge amounts of mental effort to focus on every potential danger. That's great in a crisis or if you're driving a race car, but hypervigilance is bad in the long term. If you tried to drive a 100-mile journey at that level of focus, you'd be exhausted and you'd start making mistakes. Also, when someone is so alert to every possible danger, it makes it really hard to tell the difference between real threats and our own overreactions. Ironically, this can mean that someone with hypervigilance is actually in more danger than someone without. There's also post-traumatic stress disorder. Dating a narcissist can be damaging enough that it leads to full-blown PTSD, and that's really serious. There's also dissociation. Now, the type of dissociation that we're talking about here is where you dissociate yourself from your emotions. This means that you're finding it really difficult to actually feel your own emotions, and especially negative ones like anger. You might be able to say that you should feel angry, but you kind of don't feel it. It's really hard to describe, but there is a distance and a gap where you can't touch your own emotions. Not everyone will get long-term mental health consequences from dating a narcissist, but it's a genuine danger. The next one is guilt. People who date a narcissist, especially if they're looking at a longer-term relationship, may find that they feel an awful lot of guilt, both during the relationship and for a really long time afterwards. A narcissist doesn't ever believe that they will ever do anything wrong. They always have a justification for their actions that makes them completely the good guy. They are absolutely the hero in their own story. And the trouble with that is that they believe it so passionately, so deeply. They're not pretending. They really do feel it that much. But that makes it really difficult for us to convince ourselves that they're wrong. It's really hard when someone's so adamant. And even once we've left them, it's completely normal to feel a huge sense of guilt and to believe that we didn't do enough to help them or look after them or to be a good partner for them while you were together. Really frustratingly, this can even make us more susceptible to narcissists in the future. Then there's trouble making decisions. A narcissist wants everything done their own way. They want to make all of the decisions in the relationship because they think that they are the only one who matters. Now, if you've spent months, sometimes even years, not being able to make your own decisions, it's incredibly hard to start deciding things for yourself again. Now, if you've never experienced this, I know this is going to sound surreal. I get it. I really do. But this is absolutely real. If someone has been in a relationship with a narcissist for a few years, they can honestly burst into tears at the idea of having to decide what to wear in the morning. There are people who've had to relearn how to choose food in a supermarket because they are so used to being told what to buy and what they have to eat. It's important to understand that this isn't weakness. This kind of decision paralysis is a completely normal reaction to a horribly abnormal situation. If this is resonating for you, please understand that you are not crazy. This is totally understandable, and it is something that will get better with time and ideally with the support of a great therapist. Then there's financial abuse. Narcissists don't see any problem with financially abusing their partner because they believe implicitly that their needs are always more important than yours. They're quite happy to run up debt in your name, limit your access to money, and to ruin your credit score, as long as they get what they want. Financial abuse is abuse, and it is increasingly recognized legally in various parts of the world. Unfortunately, many places still don't understand the impact of financial abuse, even though it's present in 99% of cases of violent physical abuse. Now, if you realize that you might have been the victim of financial abuse by your narcissist partner, first of all, I'm really sorry, but it is essential that you get legal advice and specialist support as quickly as possible. You should be able to find a free provider near you. And if you're not sure where to turn to, try contacting the National Domestic Violence Hotline, who do recognize financial abuse and are ready to help you. And I have put their contact details down in the description, so please check that out. The next danger is that you still see your narcissist partner as a victim, because they do. And when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, they will always see themselves as the victim in every situation. Now, if you've lived with their reality for a long time, you'll often come to see them in the same way. And unfortunately, if they're the victim, that means that you're always being cast as the villain. Even inside your own head, when you know you weren't trying to hurt them. Number 8 in the dangers is that they undermine your other relationships. This is a huge danger when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, that they undermine your relationships with anyone else in your life. And there are 2 reasons for this. Remember how I said that narcissists always have a polished image where they look like they are absolutely perfect? Well, lots of the people around you both will never be allowed close enough to see beneath that facade. So to everybody who only knows them a little bit, they look like the good guy. They look like a perfect partner. They might even play on this, making you out to be the bad guy to others. Secondly, they may also make deliberate efforts to separate you from the people who love you and who want to look out for you. They know that other people in your life will try to empower you to walk away from such an abusive relationship. So they drive wedges between you and your friends and family. Now, both of these will leave you isolated and without your support network, which makes you even more vulnerable to their continued abuse. The final danger of dating a narcissist is that it is really hard to leave. These last 3 dangers really combine to make that a huge, huge problem. If they've damaged your finances, you might struggle to find the money to leave and find your own place. You might also be liable for some or even all of their debts, and they will often have wrecked your credit rating. This creates a huge practical barrier to you leaving the relationship. If you still see them as a victim, even if you know intellectually that this is complete BS, you'll probably still feel hugely guilty for walking away. You'll probably doubt yourself and wonder whether you're actually overreacting or misinterpreting them. If they've been gaslighting you, you're likely to still be unsure of yourself. These create a huge emotional barrier to leaving. If they've damaged your relationships with your family and your close friends, and especially if they've cultivated a bond with important members of your support network, these people won't realize that your partner is a narcissist and may try to pressure you into staying. They've then created a really strong social barrier to you leaving. Leaving a relationship with a narcissist is really difficult. And it's important that you get as much help and support as you can. Try reaching out to local charities or support networks if you need just a little bit of extra support and extra care. And that's especially the case if you've been the victim of financial abuse. It doesn't need to be physical abuse to count as abuse. And most refuges and support services will help after emotional, financial, or psychological abuse as well. I'm going to be honest and say that there are loads more problems and dangers to dating a narcissist. There are far more than I can include in a single video. Today, I've just concentrated on some of the main ones. But if you have different problems, those are completely valid as well. If you'd like to share, please do let me know in the comments, especially if you have any advice or suggestions that might help someone else who's going through a similar thing. As always, do like and subscribe, and please take care of yourselves. All right, I'll see you soon.